back to our kitchen. My name is Valerie.
I'm Christina, and again from Queen of Hearts Couture.
Today is another frosting day. So yeah, we're experimenting again with different types of frosting.
And it's vegan.
Nice.
It's
yes.
vegan. And we are not going to do one recipe, but 2 recipes, vegan style.
Yes. Okay. Well, the first recipe that we're going to do is a bean paste recipe. It's actually not here. it's just somewhere there. So we're basically using the actual beans to create the frosting.
And the second one that we are going to do is the aquafaba frosting. From the word itself, aqua means water, faba means beans.
Yes.
Alright, so for the bean paste frosting, we're going to use the bean paste frosting. You're going to use the actual beans. For the aquafaba,
it's going to be the water of the beans.
The beans.
Water from the beans? Water of the beans?
So anyway, let's start with the aquafaba. So practically you can use any sort of beans, but more widely used and actually tried and tested, it works best, the chickpeas. So we're going to use chickpeas today.
Yes, but we did a little bit of a shortcut because we just bought the chickpeas, or other name is the garbanzos, from the tin cans because it's already there. So we used 2 of them, not two of them.
2 tins, yeah. So yeah, Valerie's correct. We're here for you, so do the easier way. But if you want to do it long cut, you can actually.
So what do?
You can do it, but it's just really time consuming. So because basically you need to soak your beans for 12 hours and then cook it for another hour or so. So it's just really a long cut.
So yeah, so from what Christina says, if you want to do it from scratch, you would definitely save from it because, you know, if you buy the raw ones, then it's definitely cheaper than buying like the tins. So, but it's just a long process.
Alright, so let's get started.
To begin, you want to add your aquafaba. 1 full tin is around about 200 mils. So put that in there. And next, you want to add your sifted icing sugar. This is about 1 cup or about 130 grams. Carefully put it in. Also, you want to add your 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. There you go. And it has to be on a pretty teaspoon set, by the way. And finally, you can add your 2 teaspoons of vanilla flavor. You want to give it a little stir and make sure that your icing sugar is well dissolved before you start beating it. And you want to use your whisk or your balloon attachment. And now you want to whip it up to about 10-15 minutes at a very high speed. See how stiff, nice peaks that is, super white. Look, there, and it's definitely will hold its shape just like any meringue. Okay, so at this point you can definitely use it as it is, okay? like playing with it. So you can definitely use it as it is. We're going to try and show you later on how we tint and also how to pipe using this one. But if you want a more pipeable consistency, you can also add vegetable shortening or vegan butter to make it more stiff or more pipeable. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to add about half a cup of vegetable shortening, and we use Trex. Now, when you are adding any fat, okay, do it a little at a time, because at this point you are going to create an emulsion. So basically, think about like water and oil. So they don't usually go mixed together. So you want to add it slowly so that it blends well or incorporates well. Okay. So don't worry if it looks horrible at the moment. It's very typical, but I just wanted to scrape the sides and make sure that everything will be well incorporated. So scrape down and beat again at a high speed.
Alright, so this is done now. Yeah, so let's try and scoop it.
Well, as you can see in the process, we had to switch to the paddle attachment because when we started incorporating the fat, it didn't incorporate.
It wasn't doing anything. It was actually looking worse when you added the vegetable shortening.
Yeah, it looked curdled, and so we thought beat more with the whisk attachment and it should be okay, but
it is getting worse actually.
More than 10 minutes now is not, it's doing nothing, so we thought it needed more strength, and so we switched to the paddle attachment, and after 5 minutes of doing that, it started incorporating.
Yeah, it's kind of smoothing the entire mixture, so it's really good.
There you go. Alright, so what we're going to do next is we're going to show you the difference between the two at a more close-up look, and we're going to tint and try and pipe with it. Okay, so here it is up close.
This definitely looks a lot thicker.
Yeah,
and heavier.
Yeah, so see, this was the just the aquafaba alone, and before it was really stiff, and while this one was beating, it was just here on the bowl, and as you can see, it's already starting to slowly deflate. So rather than more stiff, it looks more foamy now, while this one is definitely more thick and looks more pipeable consistency.
So let's try to color this frosting.
Okay. So we're just using a normal food coloring paste. Okay, so now we're gonna try to pipe using these two. And we're basically going to do an experiment and leave it in the countertop for maybe up until tomorrow and see what happens. Samples of the aquafaba. So
now let's evaluate them.
Perfect. Okay, let's start with the consistency.
So I'm gonna do the one with the shortening in it.
Yes.
So these are the ones. Consistency wise, very likely to be very much pipeable. So I like it. It feels really light but very pipeable as well.
Yes. Now with the let's call it the meringue ones, okay? So these two that are quite obvious, and this one as well. So with them, as you can see, this one was slightly merged because it was slightly deflated, but I still managed to be able to pipe with it.
She still managed.
I still managed. Now this one was after it was well whipped. So that's why it's more sharp, it's more defined.
That's very pretty.
It's thank you. Right, so we these are the two slightly deflated ones, and now it has developed like a dry skin, so you can definitely touch it. It's pretty much like a meringue. Yeah,
these ones, the ones with the shortening, don't touch it because it's really soft.
Yeah, it's still sticky.
Don't touch it.
There you go. So see, I didn't ruin
Alright,
it.
so taste-wise,
Okay.
the one with the shortening is okay. If you're used to having shortening in your recipes, then that's fine. But if you are particular with the taste, then instead of adding shortening, then you can just add vegan butter.
Yes. So. Yeah, but with the meringue one, well, it's meringue. It's just your aquafaba and then the sugar. So it's and a little bit of the vanilla. So it's just airy, super airy, basically.
Really light.
So if you're a fan of that, good. If you're not a fan of that, then you're gonna have a problem. Okay, so taste. Next, what we should discuss, stability. Yes.
We're gonna show some clippings.
Yes. So, as you've probably seen in our previous video when we did a glossy buttercream, we heat tested it, and so we thought let's heat test these ones as well. So these two are the ones that we heat tested.
I think our neighbors are finding us really weird now. Why are these girls having like roses outside their house?
Yeah, and we've got a 4-year-old neighbor upstairs, and he is well trained now not to touch any of the things that we put outside that looks like edible, but he's not to touch it. So well done. Okay, so as you can see in the video, both of them were left direct sunlight for about 2 hours actually. And what was the temperature?
About 20. It was really hot this afternoon. Well, not as hot as some countries, but for UK standard, it was in the springtime. It was 25, 26 degrees Celsius. Actually, it felt more.
So stability-wise, I would say that for the pipeable one with the tricks is okay.
Yeah.
The one with the meringue, as long as you pipe it straight after it was whipped, then it's okay.
But for the one with the shortening, in case after using it you chill it, then you take it out, just spit it again. It's absolutely fine. You can do so with the one with the shortening.
Yeah. Okay. So, but overall, I think that these are really good vegan options.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's move on to the bean paste frosting.
I love this one. We have here your beans, maybe white kidney beans or your cannellini beans. Yeah.
But today we're going to use butter beans. I didn't even know that there's such a thing. Alright, so we're just basically going to do a shortcut because...
See, the easier way.
Oh, okay, well, the easier way of doing it. But you can definitely use raw ones, because obviously if you are going to need more, then the raw ones are cheaper than obviously the tinned ones.
So again, guys, 450 grams of your beans, 225 grams of your sugar. It might be caster sugar or granulated sugar, that's fine.
That's okay.
And of course, your 2 teaspoons of vanilla.
Yes. So whichever way that you're going to do, if you go by the tin, then you don't have to soak your beans for at least about 6 hours. You will notice that it will double the size. So, but if you are doing it on the tin, the next step is basically just skinning it. Now we have some samples here. So this is how the skin looks like, and these are the beans. Okay.
Can I skin it too?
So there. So the trick is, you know where the I don't know which thing is this.
Where?
I don't know what that. I don't know what it is called. But basically, you just squeeze it out from there. Ta-da!
That was so satisfying.
There you go.
These are all uphill, by the way.
Yes. So the only thing, well, to start with, the bean paste buttercream is definitely rich in taste. It's definitely pipeable consistency. But the thing is, for me, can you imagine if you needed to make a lot of frosting, like big batches of frosting, and how many beans would that mean? And how many beans do you have to skin? So well, I think it's basically tedious to do, but the taste we're gonna have to find out.
I love beans, per se. I love beans.
Yes, so alright, well, we're just basically going to finish skinning this, and then we'll move on to the next step. For the next step, you want to boil your beans. If you use the ones from the tin, you basically would just need to boil it for about 5 to 10 minutes. But if it is a raw beans, then I think you would have to boil it for about 30 to 45 minutes, or sometimes even for an hour. Basically, the beans has to be really, really soft. That is even mushy. All right? Okay, so it has been about 5 minutes, and you can test it by pressing it down with a spoon and see if it gets mashed. Then that's ready.
So I drain the boiling water and replace that with cold water, and then drain again, and then add some more cold water, drain again. So do it about 3 or 4 times. Just leave a small amount of water. And please now go straight to our blender.
Okay, so next up, use your blender to cream your beans. So it was on the blender for just about a minute, and look how creamy it is already. So I say that just a minute or 2, it should be okay. Okay. Next up, on a medium fire, bring your beans mixture back to boil. But this time you want to add your sugar, which is half the amount of the total weight of the beans, and add your vanilla as well. after 30 minutes, all the water has now evaporated, and now you're left with your bean paste that just needs to be cooled and ready for piping. Okay, so you're looking for this thick consistency. Okay, you can run your spatula and feel if it's thick enough, and all you have to do now is just let this cool, and we'll try and use it for piping in a minute. Okay, so this is the finished product. As you can see, it's very, very thick, and I think you can definitely lessen the amount of sugar that we put in. If it was 225, I would definitely lower it down for about I'd say 160, because this one tastes really, really sweet. So I would definitely do less than half. Okay, so now I'm going to try and tint a little bit, just because as you can see, it's not really white, it's definitely yellowish. So let's see how the colors would end up when you mix it onto a very yellowish mixture. Okay, so this is pink, our color, and I think I'll be needing a good amount, so something like this. Okay, so I've got my piping bag ready. I'm using a Wilton 104, and I'm going to do a little bit of two-tone. So I'm going to get a little bit of my just plain one, and where the narrow end is, I'm going to pipe my first color there. Like so, and I'm going to now add my pink on top of it, just to blend it a little.
Ta-da! Alright, so here is our bean paste frosting, and we just used to pipe a small rose on that to test.
Let's evaluate this one.
Okay, yeah. So let's start with consistency.
Consistency wise, it is very, very pipeable. Especially when you're used to piping. This one is for you.
Yes, and but the only downside I would say is that it dries fairly quickly. But so if you store it properly on an airtight container, or this one is like cling film, so you just basically put it in a microwave for about 10-second bursts, and it will go back to its nice pipeable consistency. If, for example, it is just really, really dry, you can add a little bit of corn syrup and then mash it again together. Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Right. So our
Next,
taste. It is acquired taste. So say for example, in my case, I love these beans. I love beans per se. So I would love this recipe. I actually like the taste of it. But for you?
Well, for me, I'm okay with it. I'm not a big fan of it.
That was so subtle.
So if Christina can eat the whole thing, I'll probably just have one flower and I'm done with it.
One flower.
Just, one flower. I'm not a big fan. I can eat it, but I'm just not a big fan.
But it's a yes for me. So stability, of course.
I don't think we need to discuss about
Very,
it.
very stable.
It is very, very stable. We didn't do the heat test because we just piped one last night and we left it overnight here, room temperature, and it has dried. Yeah, so it's very firm. It has dried a little bit. You can definitely touch it, but once you bite in it, it still is.
Tastes good.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
so
still
biased.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. These are, including the aquafaba, another good options for frosting. So we've now given you
A couple of options actually. So for some of you guys who haven't seen some of our videos before, please do check the link down below
yes.
so that you can see the previous tutorials.
Yes, and okay, well, we hope you guys really liked this tutorial that we made for you today.
As much as we enjoyed doing this actually.
yes. And so you guys know the drill, so please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we hope to see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye guys!